What's up? What's up? I got my guy AJ here. We got a great episode for y'all on Listen to DP. We're going to be talking about multi-sport athletes. Everybody believes, not everybody, but a lot of people still believe that you should play sports and soccer and football and baseball and basketball. Well, you should, especially when you're young. But at some point, you have to realize, hey, man, I'm not any good at basketball anymore. And I might be a football and baseball player, and I need to concentrate on that and drop basketball. Or you realize, you know what? Dang, I'm a junior in high school now. I can't hit a fastball to save my life, but I'm really good at wide receiver, but I need to put on a little more size to get faster. I might need to stick to football. So today's episode is really going to be about multi-sport. And being an athlete is very, very, very important. And not just being a football player or a quarterback, even within a sport when you're young. When you're young, you don't want to just be like, oh, I play running back or I play quarterback. No, play running back, play quarterback, go play receiver, go play defense, go play whatever. Go play different positions in basketball and soccer because you want to build yourself up, and everything that you do in one sport can translate in another way to a different sport. The movements, the skills, the muscles that you're using. So I'm never, ever, ever going to say young kids shouldn't play multi-sports. And that's actually a problem right now, is that so many young guys are developing into just quarterbacks or receivers at a young age and don't play another sport, and they just play football or basketball year round. What happens when that kid stops growing and you thought he's going to be the 6'5" point guard, and now he's only 6'1"? Well, you can be a great size wide receiver, but now you're a short point guard at 6'1". Or you thought your son was going to be 6'3" and be a quarterback. Now he's 5'11", but he ain't fast because he never played running back or receiver. So we're not worried about speed work. We're just worried about throwing the ball. So you get yourself in a bind when these young kids play one sport early. And not only play one sport, but play one position in that sport.
Yeah.
You have to develop. But on the flip side of that is too many of these kids are getting into high school and they're not the bona fide. Well, Patrick Mahomes played basketball and baseball. Well, also, go look how good Patrick Mahomes was in baseball and go watch him hoop. He was good in both those, and obviously he was good in football. You're barely holding on to your spot as a junior or a senior in football, but then you're going off to go play basketball. Well, now there's a sophomore or freshman that's working at that offseason because he knows I'm not a hooper no more, and he takes your spot. So you have to find that sweet spot. Say, you know what, young, I grew up playing all these sports, but at some point, I got to realize I'm a 5'8" point guard playing 5 minutes a game, averaging 1.5 points like Stephen A. Smith, but I'm actually a dog in the slot at wide receiver. I'm pretty decent at corner. If I can just work on my technique a little more, I can maybe go get that Kentucky offer or that Tulsa offer. You ain't getting no offers in basketball at 5'8", unless you're averaging 40. And some of these guys aren't averaging 5, but they're still going to basketball, running away from the offseason. So I know that you've trained in New York, you're out in Cali, so you've trained with the kids on the East Coast, way up top. Now the kids on the West Coast, on the side, more towards the bottom. What have you seen from both places where parents, how do they go about like the sports in New York as well as Cali? Is everybody playing a lot of different things? Are you seeing kids specialize? What about your kids? Let me know how you feel about all this.
First, I agree 1,000%. You should develop your athleticism, hands down. Like I remember playing multiple sports as kids, and your first time playing on a football field or any sport, you're all over the place. You're playing D-line, you're playing running back. The coach is mixing your athleticism around about, right? So that way he could develop a solid team. But eventually you start 2-3 years in, you start developing like, okay, this is where I'm going to be at. I'm going to keep working on that. Biggest difference, honestly, all the kids are playing multiple sports. East Coast, West Coast is very similar. What I'm finding is that, excuse me, the common denominator on both spectrums, having seen that and being in both environments now, is, well, coach, I want to play Division I football or just play college football. Let's just play college football, any level, right? Or college basketball, or baseball, whatever sport they want to do. But they are spending more time in their off season not only avoiding or neglecting working on their craft for the sport they want to play in college, but also they're not working on the performance aspect of it, the strength in the weight room, the field work to get faster, more explosive, the plyometrics, all the little nuances that's going to transfer to their game. So here we have this basketball player that wants to play college basketball, but in the off season, all they're doing is playing a ton of AAU games and they're not working on their craft. But at the same time, they're doing 7-on-7.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one is it? You're a junior in high school, like you mentioned, but yet you're spending all the 7-on-7 time when you could be working on your craft, shooting 300 shots in the gym, doing suicides, working on your strength because you're smaller and you're behind the curve or under the radar for recruiting purposes, right? So now you have so much catching up to do because unlike when you and I played, the bag of talent now is insane. Insane. I can still remember watching sports science shows and they talked about 20 years from now, we're going to have a ton of Michael Jordans and all these type of freakish athletes that are tall, big, and fast and can run. And we're here now because kids in high school, they're there, and some of I would say probably 2 to 3%, I don't have the exact number, but I would say 2 to 3% of the kids who realize their potential, they're working on it. They're like, oh, I'm this big, I'm this explosive. Let me work on it to get better. The downside. So here's the upside of playing multiple sports, right? Your athleticism rises 1,000% because you might be on the recruiting board for a lot of colleges for that specific sport. Let's just say football, right? You're on the recruiting board, you have 5 offers on the table, but you still love basketball and you're the sixth man off the bench. Cool. You've been playing basketball since freshman year, sophomore year, you made a team, junior year, you're on varsity, still playing. But are you getting looked at for basketball? When you have 5 guys on your team that are highly recruited already and your team is loaded and you have 5 offers, but you want more offers. That decision has to come in now. Like, all right, basketball has helped me develop as a better defensive back or safety or wide receiver or running back. All right, I need to focus more now on football because I want to get more than 5 offers.
Yes.
Because those 5 offers, those schools are giving me, they have probably 2 or 3 or maybe 4 guys in the same position that they're recruiting.
And those guys only play football.
Exactly. So they have the upper hand now. You might be a better athlete in a sense because you play 2 sports, but they're a better football player than you are as far as movement, strength, size, IQ, So you have to say, you know what? I'm going to walk away from basketball. Let me just focus heavy on this sport that's going to pay for my education. Not go pro, but pay for my education. And I get to keep doing it. I remember years ago, that's why I was excited to chop it up with you on this because, I had a baseball guy and a football guy. Both played football, both played baseball, but one also played basketball. The other did wrestling. Best friends. And I'll never forget, we had a conversation during a training period. And I said, listen, I get it. You guys are triple sport athletes. You're doing well in all of them. They're traveling with their baseball team, ranked in the country, all this stuff. And the other one's really good at wrestling. The other one's really good at basketball, but both are good at football. I said, your ticket is baseball. Your ticket is football. By mid-sophomore year or the end of sophomore year, we're going to eliminate the other 2, and you guys need to focus on just those. And that's it. And they listened, and that's exactly what they did. Excelled. One's finishing up at Brown. The other's finishing up at New Haven for baseball. And, they're going to get opportunities beyond it because they've done so well. But that decision had to be made. It's a hard conversation, but it's the reality conversation, because now instead of when you're, like you said, when you're hooping for 3-4 months after your football season, that's 3-4 months of preparation you could be getting that other kid is already getting 3-4 months.
And 2 things you said in that. So one is that's the conversation that needs to be had, right? A lot of people aren't having that with their kids. And the bigger part of that is Brown, smart school, and then New Haven, right? It's not Vandy or Michigan. This is what people are missing. If I dropped those 2 sports and got to Brown and New Haven, if I would have maybe played those for a little longer, I might go below that. I'm not telling the kid that's going to Georgia to stop playing basketball because you got Georgia offers. Yeah. I'm talking to the kid that is really on the cusp. It's like, bro, You keep hooping, you're losing valuable time. There's guys that can play football, basketball, baseball, run track, and all that because they're the elite of the elite.
Yes.
They always be like, oh, go look at the all the athletes in the NFL. How many of them played multiple sports? I was like, but you got to realize we're talking about the elite of the elite. They're
Yes.
in the NFL. Let's go look at all the guys that were in D2, D3, NAIA, or didn't go to school that played multiple sports. It's more of them. Obviously, it's a bigger number, but just because you play multiple sports, you can't be like, well, look how many. Yes, you're in the NFL, so you're elite, so you're going to play multiple sports.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to that NFL guy. We're talking to the kid, right? The New Haven kid, the kid that's trying to get a 60% for soccer at SFA. If you're spending time playing basketball and we're a partial scholarship guy, and there's a guy that's just as good as you in soccer, working on soccer in high school, and he puts in 500 more hours that year than you, the numbers are the numbers, like what you put your energy into. So I tell people, I'm never talking to the guys on the extreme. The best of the best guys, you play whatever you want as long as you want to.
Yeah.
The very worst guys, that's the backup, JV, wide receiver, go try and hoop, do everything, because pretty much just going to be the highlight of your life is high school. You're probably not going to the next level. We're talking about those guys that have the ability to play at the next level, but you really got to put a concentrated effort to get there.
And you know, it's funny you say that because the extra hours. So the New Haven guy, he had so many schools, but it was closer to home. Mm-hmm. Parents could go see him constantly, so that worked out. Like, you know, I remember Stanford calling his house up every time I was passing by. I was like, Jesus. You know, other big schools, West Virginia, he had the big offers because he put those extra hours in once he decided like baseball is the ticket, you know, and he chose because he had options by then, right? He created more options for himself because he could put more time in. And he said, you know, I'm going to go here. And he's been balling out of control, you know, so you have to do that. And another thing too, let's say you're coming off of your football season and you've been kind of banged up, right? Yeah. Then you decide like, oh, I'm going to play basketball again. Well, you're not recovering. Your legs are banged up, your shoulder's probably banged up, whatever the case is, or your ankle, you had an injury during the season, but you want to go play basketball. Then you're going to be upset because now not only are you falling behind preparing for next season, but by the time basketball is over, you have camp season for football to get recruited. So now you're not ready for camps.
Not running fast, not jumping.
At all. You can't move. You're getting beat off the line as a DB. You're getting, you know, jammed up at the line as a receiver, running back, you can't catch the ball because the linebacker's eating you up, you know, because when you take that football player that he has the deep IQ and he finishes his season, he's like, okay, I need to work on these areas this offseason. You know, that's all I'm going to focus on so I can come back even better. They're well prepared because by the time they hit that first camp, coaches are like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it happens. So, and they're just going to eat up the kids who aren't preparing months like they've been doing. So when you are sitting on the bench, you already know going into your junior or senior year, you're already battling 2 or 3 guys in your position, you know, or they might have a transfer coming in, you know, that's already a 3, 4, 5-star kid. Now you're like, oh, shoot. Now you're really worried because you're going to be passing him water. Like, hey, you need some water? Because you're going to be on the bench watching him play in front of you.
Actually, you're not putting in the work. Like, and people don't realize, man, like if you go from football and let's just say you're a quarterback and your arm angle is wrong and the ball when you're dropping back isn't where it needs to be. Your footwork is bad. It can be any of those things. Well, right when football ends, you literally leave football the day it's over because basketball overlaps a little bit in high school. So you go straight into basketball. So then you go over there for 3 to 4 months, depending on how good y'all are. Well, right when you're done, you go straight back into maybe the last few weeks of off season, which is going to be about 2 weeks of lifting, and then you start spring ball out here in Texas. Well, you done missed 4 months of work of saying, you know what? I can work on my footwork. I can work on my arm angle. I could work on my drop back or a receiver working on this. Now you go straight back into off season, and then you're going into spring ball. Well, guess what? You resort back to, well, what was I doing last year? Bad footwork, bad this and that. Well, you can play basketball and still train. Well, if you can play basketball, once again, these kids aren't just hooping for the school. If you hoop for the school, you hoop for AAU nowadays, right? So therefore, how much time do you really have compared to another guy that's doing football? And we're talking about the high school kids. If I'm hooping for my school, I'm doing that, right? Boom. Now I'm going AAU practice after that. How many training sessions do I get for football?
Yeah.
Not many, because you're tired. And if you're doing all that, you should be doing basketball lessons. If you feel that strongly about I got to play on a school team and an AAU team, you should be out there with a basketball coach.
Yep.
And like I said, now it's a little different. I tell some people, okay, cool. Go hoop for your school. Just stay from the AAU, because now at least in the summer, after school, when basketball's over, you get to go to your training. But they want to do 7-on-7, AAU, school ball. That leaves no time for training. That's how you get a guy that's picked at number 2 in the NBA that has a jump shot like this, like Lonzo Ball, right? And it goes to another topic that we'll end up eventually getting to on another one, is just playing that, even the sport that you choose, too much without having a real off season to change mechanical things and work on them. So
yes,
that's the big thing, is we're not telling guys don't play multiple sports, but you got to start seeing the writings on the wall. Okay, I'm 5'10", I'm running the 3 at my school because we got some small guys. Why am I sitting here playing basketball when I know I got to get school paid for, and I haven't got it paid for? Or I got these D2 offers, but I could be a Division I wide receiver. Coach just saying I don't get out of them breaks enough. Well, you playing basketball, and a lot of people are going to want to say, well, basketball helps you with this and baseball helps you. It does, especially as you're growing up. But why doesn't Patrick Mahomes in the offseason, if it's so helpful, just go throw a baseball all offseason? Why don't all the DBs just say, you know what, forget football training, I'm just going to only play basketball because it helps me that much to get better for guarding Tyreek Hill. I'm going to just play basketball all offseason. I ain't doing no footwork. I ain't doing no football drills. It helps to an extent, but at some point, you have to be like, this receiver is faster than me, stronger than me, runs better routes. And I'm about to go hoop for 3 months. And this dude is literally saying, I'm about to go run some more routes, get in the weight room, and get faster. How do you ever catch a guy like that if you don't decide at some point? Once again, middle of the road guys, not the top guys, not the bottom guys. So that's my big thing. You got to figure it out.
You said something too, like the overhaul of playing. And you have some of the guys now that think going from one sport to the next sport is working just to get better for that main sport. So now, excuse me, now not only are they not preparing for the sport, but they're not recovering enough. So not only don't you have time because you're doing so much on your body, and you're wondering like, why am I not gaining weight? Why am I not getting stronger or faster? You're already starting to plateau, and we have another 6-7 months left in your off season. You're doing too much. You need to sit down. You have to recover, because recovery, and you know this better than anyone, like, because your brother and your dad do a lot of recovery work. So that recovery is so much key to your success on the field, off the field. If you're not recovering properly and doing a million things, we're not telling you not to work hard. That's great, but you have to work intelligently hard at the same time.
And the thing about that is, there's times where I'll be in a weight room for like 2 months straight, just going crazy. And then I take a week off, and I come back in there and I'm lifting more because my body was beat up. It's like, but I come back in there. A lot of times, like, running's a little different when you're not running all the time, right? You lose your wind a little bit. You know what I mean, right? You feel like you can do all that conditioning. You take a week off, and then you're like, ooh, it's tired, but it's still needed. But that lifting and that banging, like, on your muscles and trying to grow in your body being so tight, so many times you're like, I don't want to miss because I'm on it.
Yeah.
And something forces you to miss, and you come back in there and you doing more because your body is actually closer to that 100% of where it's trying to be. If you never let yourself recover, you'll never be at optimal. It's kind of like running a 100-yard dash and just getting a 10-second break and then running another one.
Yeah.
You have to rest.
Yep.
And then once you're fully recovered, go run another fast 100. But if you never rest, you're always tired, you have worse performance. And I think that's something that a lot of these parents are missing from playing, regardless if it's football, basketball, or multiple sports. It's year-round. And rest, we don't mean just, oh, well, he's from football, he's not playing basketball, sit at the house. No, go even get in the weight room, do mobility, go make sure your body, I know your ankle is messed up, go do some rehab, depending on how far you are with the recovery. Make sure you're getting those ice baths, go get some massages. And then it's like, okay, while we're doing that for that first 3 weeks out of football season, I'm still maybe lifting, but it's all half lift. Everything's more for, get some depth in that squat. Let's keep the muscles moving. Because once again, you go to college, we used to lift for like 4 or 5 weeks super hard. Then we have a recovery week. So if you was doing, let's say, 315 on bench, that recovery week, you was about at 250. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Boom. Making sure you're still keeping the muscles strong. But they're like, no, we running y'all to the ground. There's a recovery week. And I don't think a lot of parents understand that your athletes are tearing so many more ACLs, MCLs, feet, ankle, knee problems, shoulder problems, because they never let their kids sit down.
They're not recovering at all. Their joints, their tendons, their ligaments are getting run down constantly now. It is different because we used to have those breaks in between. Now it's like, oh, the more I play or the more sports I play or the more I stay in my sport year round, the better I'm going to be. No, it's not going to happen. You need to work on the preparation component. That's what's going to get you back. So for me, if a kid who's playing basketball and AAU, we know, is a crazy world now. If you go from your team sport to AAU, keep going. No, do a season of preparation, take 2-3 months off and just rest your body, but prepare for the game and then come back to the game for another 2 months, then take off of it again. You need to have doses of it. Some of them are just like overdosing. So
and you're just playing a lot of bad games. So if you never have time off, you always resort to what's most comfortable, not what's right.
Yes.
So therefore, if you have bad habits, you continue to have bad habits. It keeps going back to, I always use Lonzo Ball. Like I said earlier, he always shot like that. So he probably, once he started playing basketball, he never stopped, right? Yes, luckily for those kids, LeVar was big in the weights and all that. But, they never was like, you know what? We done played AAU and school ball for these last 5 years straight. We about to take off at least half of this AAU season, man, and just get in there and fix your jumper, man. Because in a game, you can't fix a jumper in a game. You can't learn how to throw a straight punch in a fight, in a boxing match.
No.
You only can do that in a controlled but in comfortable environment where you know that failure is accepted.
Yep.
I'm not going to fail trying to fix a shot when I'm trying to win a game. And if you don't do that in a controlled environment, you'll never feel comfortable enough to do it. But these kids never get in controlled environments because they're playing the actual sport year-round and never training.
Yeah. No, so, I agree, man. You got to be an athlete because all college recruiters love the 100% guys who can play. And you know this, there's probably like 5% of guys who get recruited out of high school that play their same position.
Facts.
Most of them are getting switched over. So, yeah, if you're more athletic, it's going to help you. But
100%.
Just because you're playing other sports, it's not going to help you get recruited more, and it's not going to prepare you better, man. That's just it.
And the reason why I think that's old, whereas no, I want you to play it, but back in the day, they wanted you to play everything as well because there wasn't a lot of trainers, right? So you're telling me basketball is going to help you slide, you're going to do a lot of jumping. Well, guess what? We can get you on a Vertimax, we can get the slide, we can resistance, so we can get all those same movements.
Without that sport.
Without the sport. And I'm not telling you don't play the sport, but you can't say, well, I'm playing basketball because my lateral movement. But let's go get in the gym and work lateral movement, my man. Back in the day, it was kind of like come as you are, lift, get in shape. It was just lift, get in shape, and whatever skills you had. Or you play, the other sports to help you. Now you can do specific training with machines and technology that says, hey, your left leg isn't pushing off as much as your right leg is when we're lateral. So that's what I'm saying. There's never anything against multi-sport because you need to do that as long as it's productive and efficient. But once you start sitting on that bench, it's taken away from what it actually was because now you're just a practice guy.
Yep.
And then you were right on the cusp of going D1. Now you're mad because you have to go JUCO or D2. But it's like, bro, if you would have concentrated from your sophomore year up, I guarantee you would have been a Division I football guy. But you're listening, I'm getting more athletic playing basketball. You don't even play. You watch. You're a bench warmer.
Yeah.
If you that guy, though, and you averaging 20 and you running point guard, my boy Jackson Smith and Jigba, he played basketball at Rockwall, but he was nice. He do all the good stuff. I know other guys that, right? We got C.J. Stroud's highlights, Mahomes highlights, Kendall, what's my name? Right from Baylor when I came to all the boys who I was going to be on varsity as a sophomore. I knew I wasn't going to be taller than 5'8" probably. I declined. It was like, I'll take being on JV football to get prepared for what I know is going to get me to college. I ended up starting on varsity, but I did not know at that time I was going to start on varsity. I was 120 pounds as a freshman. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, they ain't talking about me being on varsity. So I definitely need to get this basketball season, freshman year, out the way. But I told the coach, I don't care that I'm going to start next year. I got to get prepared for football because that's what's going to get me into college.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, no, I appreciate your time for jumping on with this. I think a lot of people and parents need to hear it, not only from just the multi-sport, because we want everybody to play as many sports as possible until it becomes counterproductive. And people don't realize that it can be counterproductive. Like, you're a great jumper, but you have no straight line speed. And why you should be running get that straight line speed down because you're a 5'10", 5'11" guy or shorter. You're just continuing to, do basketball where you're jumping and shuffling all the time. And that's not going to get your 40. The only thing that messed you up was your 40. Nobody wanted to take you because you was running a 4.62 and you're 5'10". If you would have been a little faster and spent those last 3 off seasons on the track and with a trainer, D1 automatic.
Yeah. And by counterproductive is, we're talking about time too. You're losing time.
Yeah.
Like where you could be preparing. So play multiple sports, but if by sophomore year, going into sophomore year or going to junior year, like this is what I want to do, focus on that. That's it.
Right. Especially in today's age, because remember, this isn't 1990 when nobody trained. I have parents ask me every day, can I train a 3-year-old? So you do have some of these kids who only played one sport, and they're the ones that will make it. I played one sport since I was 3.
Yeah.
I was a quarterback, I was a running back, receiver, I was a point guard, and all I did was skill training and hoop for the last 15 years. So you're going to have a kid when you're a sophomore and a junior that is just like that, right? I done did my 400 makes, 500 makes every day since I've been 7 years old. Yeah. And now, mind you, you want to be a point guard like him and a shooter, but you over there running around playing baseball. And this kid is just laser focused. Gilbert Arenas, I was watching this stuff before we got on. His son is one of the top guards in the nation. 400 shots have to be made every day before school.
Every day.
And there's another guard in the nation that's playing football, and there's no problem with that. But the thing is, you're not even good at football. You just want to play with your friends. So how do you beat Gilbert Arenas' son when that's all he knows? And he's training, and he has a high-level trainer. Parents are spending, though you don't got to have NBA money for these parents to spend crazy money to get the best trainer for their kids.
No, because at the end of the day, it's to separate from the pack and get that opportunity to play their sport in college, go to school for free. That's it.
And that's all they're worried about. So that's the biggest thing is we want y'all to know, if you're still being productive and you're just one of those guys that has the it, which there's very few it's, those are the NFL guys that everybody wants to speak of saying, well, look, they played multiple sports. Well, yeah, they're in the NFL for a reason.
Yeah.
They was that type of athlete. But there's some guys that had to own that are in the NFL that if they didn't play just football and concentrate on it, for instance, my brother, he was on B team football and basketball 7th grade, B team football, basketball 8th grade, B team football 9th grade, didn't make basketball. By the time he ended up a senior, he was a full-ride Division I athlete. But imagine a guy that's a B team football player his whole career just playing basketball in the offseason and baseball after that. He would have never got fast enough, strong enough, and developed enough in football because he had to move his position from quarterback to wide receiver. So that's all he got to do in the offseason. We got to get you good at this. We got to get you good at this. We got to get faster. Division I guy. But mind you, all those other guys playing multiple sports, he ended up passing.
Yeah, catches up.
Yeah, time and reps always catch up. And that can be good or bad because that time and those reps that you continue to spend on that field or that court without the rest like we talked about, it hurt you.
Oh, man. I'm seeing it now. Trust me. Seeing it now.
No, I appreciate you again. And we'll definitely hop on and get some more. I want to get on more of go into depth with these kids staying in the sports longer and without the off-season training and some of the benefits we've seen from, kids that understand. I know I'm a great, hooper, but I need to just settle down a little bit and forget the 500 shots after 500 shots after 500 shots. Yes, I did my 500, but now it's time to go get into the gym. I made my 5, but they want to shoot 5 more. Let's settle down. We made our 500. Now let's get stronger. That's
Yeah.
when Giannis got better, when he got stronger, right?
Yep.
LeBron, he was good because he came in with a body that was ready for the NBA. And you couldn't just throw him around. He was skinnier, but he was still, that's just from being 6'8", but his body was ready for NBA play. You don't average 25 just off of skill back then because them grown men could put them
Yeah.
elbow on you and stop you. So
Yep.
I definitely want to get into that about some of the things that we would recommend for these guys that even are elite at their sport for how they can get better in the offseason to be able to, you know, take them over the top.
Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate you, man.
No problem, man. Have a good one. We'll be linking back up here soon. We'll get this one out probably today. I'm gonna get over here, get it online, and then I'll message you the link.
Sound good.
Have a good one.
Peace.